The stars looked different through the cracked canopy of her fighter. Maya Brooks tried to focus on them, tried to ignore the alarms screaming in her ears and the smell of burning metal filling her cockpit. She had been a pilot for the Earth Defense Force for 3 years, and this was supposed to be a routine patrol near Jupiter's outer moon's routine. That word seemed funny now as she watched 3 alien ships circle her damaged fighter like sharks around wounded prey. Her console flickered and died. The emergency beacon kept pulsing, but Maya knew help was too far away. The nearest Earth vessel was 40 minutes out, and her life support would fail in 10. She had already accepted her fate when the largest alien ship moved closer. A blue beam shot out and wrapped around her fighter, pulling it toward an opening in the ship's belly. Maya's training kicked in. She memorized everything she could see. The alien ship was massive, perhaps 2 kilometers long, with a dark purple hull that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols glowed along its surface. She counted 6 weapon ports on just the section she could see. Her fighter disappeared into the ship and darkness swallowed her. The hangar bay was bright when the lights came on. Maya squinted as figures approached her fighter. They were tall, maybe 7 feet, with blue-gray skin and 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern on their faces. They wore form-fitting suits that looked like they were made from liquid metal. One of them operated a device and her canopy hissed open. "Do not resist," a voice said in perfect English. It came from a small device one of the aliens wore on its chest. "You will not be harmed if you cooperate." Maya climbed out slowly, her legs shaky from the adrenaline crash. 5 aliens surrounded her, holding weapons that looked like curved blades made of light. She raised her hands and let them lead her through corridors that hurt to look at. The walls seemed to shift and move, and the floor felt solid but looked like flowing water. They brought her to a large room where more aliens worked at stations that floated in the air. One alien stood in the center, taller than the others, with silver markings on its suit. It studied Maya with all 4 eyes, and she felt like an insect under a microscope. "I am Commander Vexkel of the Confederation research vessel Zathran," the tall alien said through its translator. "You are the first of your species we have captured alive. Consider yourself fortunate." Maya said nothing. Her training was clear about giving information to enemies. Name, rank, and serial number only. But something in the commander's tone made her stomach twist. He said captured, not rescued. He said first, which meant they planned to capture more. "Take her to Observation Room 7, Vexcal ordered. "Begin the standard protocol." 2 aliens grabbed Maya's arms and dragged her down another corridor. She didn't fight, not yet. She needed to learn more about this ship, about these aliens, about what they wanted. The observation room was small and round, with transparent walls on all sides. They pushed her inside, and she heard the door seal behind her with a hiss that sounded too final. Maya looked through the walls and saw aliens gathering outside. They stood at stations with floating displays, their long fingers moving through holographic controls. One alien, smaller than the others with green markings on its suit, seemed to be in charge of the equipment. It looked at Maya with what might have been curiosity or maybe pity. The air in the room felt wrong. Maya took a deep breath and realized it was getting harder to breathe. Her heart rate jumped as understanding hit her like a punch to the gut. They were removing the oxygen. This wasn't an interrogation room. It was a death chamber. She wanted to scream, to pound on the walls, to beg them to stop. But Maya forced herself to stay calm. Panic would make her breathe faster, use up oxygen quicker. She had maybe 10 minutes if she controlled her breathing. Maybe 15 if she was lucky. She sat down against the wall and closed her eyes, focusing on slow, steady breaths. Her training had covered surviving in low-oxygen environments, but nothing had prepared her for this. She thought about her family back on Earth. Her mom would be making dinner about now, probably wondering why Maya hadn't called in a week. Her little brother would be playing basketball with his friends, not knowing his sister was dying light years away from home. Maya's chest started to burn. Each breath felt like swallowing broken glass. She opened her eyes and saw the aliens watching her, taking notes, completely emotionless. To them, she was just a test subject, just data. She had seen that look before in biology class when they dissected frogs. That same cold, scientific curiosity. Her vision started to blur around the edges. Maya knew the signs of oxygen deprivation. First came the shortness of breath, then confusion, then unconsciousness, then death. She was at stage 1, heading quickly to stage 2. Her fingers tingled. Her thoughts felt fuzzy, like trying to think through cotton. Commander Vexcal appeared outside the observation room. He studied Maya with his 4 eyes, then turned to the alien with green markings. "How long has it been?" 11 minutes, Commander," the alien replied. "She is lasting longer than expected. Most species expire by the 8th minute." "Interesting," Vexcal said. "Their physiology may have value. Continue monitoring." Maya wanted to laugh, but she didn't have enough air. Value. They were killing her to see if her corpse might be useful. The burning in her chest grew worse. She couldn't get enough air. Her lungs screamed for oxygen that wasn't there. Dark spots danced across her vision. She thought about all the things she would never do. Never see Earth again. Never hug her mom. Never tell her brother to stay out of her room. Never fall in love. Never have kids. Never grow old. Her entire future was being stolen by these aliens who saw her as nothing more than an interesting specimen. At 15 minutes, Maya's hands started to shake. She tried to keep breathing slowly, but her body was fighting her, demanding air. Her heart hammered in her chest, working harder to pump oxygen that didn't exist to her brain and organs. She felt cold, so cold, even though she knew the room temperature was probably normal. The alien with green markings looked worried. It spoke to Vexcal, but Maya couldn't hear through the transparent wall. She saw Vexcal shake his head, saw him point at her, saw him give an order. The monitoring continued. They weren't going to stop. They were going to watch her die and take notes about it. At 19 minutes, Maya's vision went gray. She couldn't feel her hands anymore. Couldn't feel her feet. Her thoughts scattered like leaves in the wind. She tried to remember her name, but couldn't quite grasp it. Everything felt distant, like she was watching herself from far away. Then everything went dark. The aliens continued their observations as Maya slumped against the wall, her eyes closed, her chest barely moving. The alien with green markings, whose name was Shenra, watched her instruments carefully. Maya's heart rate had dropped to almost nothing. Her brain activity was minimal. By all their measurements, the human was dying. 23 minutes, Shenra reported. "Commander, her vital signs are failing. Should we restore oxygen?" "Not yet," Vexcal said. "I want to see her limits. If we're going to conquer her species, we need to understand their weaknesses." Shenra's 4 eyes blinked in what might have been disagreement, but she said nothing. She had served under Vexcal for 12 years, and knew better than to question his orders. The Confederation had conquered 17 species using this same approach. Test their limits, find their weaknesses, exploit them. It had always worked before, but something about this human bothered Shenra. The way she had stayed calm even as the oxygen disappeared, the way she had controlled her breathing, extending her survival time beyond what should have been possible. Most species panicked immediately, wasting their remaining air. This human had been different. At 28 minutes, Maya's heart rate became almost undetectable. Shenra prepared the autopsy equipment, assuming the experiment was over. She had performed this procedure dozens of times with other species. It was routine, clinical, necessary for understanding their enemy. But at 31 minutes, something strange appeared on Shenra's displays. Maya's cellular activity hadn't completely stopped. It had slowed to an incredible degree, but it was still there like embers of a fire that refused to die. Her brain showed minimal electrical patterns, not the flat line of death, but something else, something the Confederation's databases had never documented. "Commander, look at this," Shenra said, highlighting the readings. "Her cells are still active. This isn't death, it's something else." Vexcal studied the displays, his expression unreadable. A hibernation state? Perhaps. Or their species may have evolved a survival mechanism we haven't encountered before. At 37 minutes, Vexcal decided they had enough data. "Restore the oxygen. We'll preserve the body for detailed dissection." Shenra activated the controls and oxygen flooded back into the observation room. The aliens began preparing their cutting tools and specimen containers. The human had lasted longer than expected, which was interesting, but ultimately she had proven just as mortal as every other species they had tested. Vexcal was already thinking about the other 3 humans they had captured from the same patrol group. He would test them differently. Maybe extreme heat, maybe cold, maybe pressure. Each test would reveal more about human limitations, more about how to defeat them. Maya's first breath back felt like swallowing fire. Her lungs expanded violently, pulling in oxygen so fast it hurt. She coughed, her whole body shaking, and rolled onto her side. Everything hurt. Her head pounded like someone was hitting it with a hammer. Her chest felt like it had been crushed. Her muscles screamed from being starved of oxygen. But she was alive. Through watering eyes, Maya saw the aliens staring at her. All of them had backed away from the transparent walls. Their 4 eyes were wide, their mouths open in what looked like shock. One alien dropped the cutting tool it had been holding. The tool clattered to the floor and the sound echoed in the sudden silence. Maya forced herself to breathe slower. In and out. In and out. Her body wanted to hyperventilate, to gulp air, as fast as possible, but she knew that would make her pass out. She needed to stay conscious, needed to understand what had just happened. Commander Vexcal was the first to move. He stepped closer to the observation room, his 4 eyes fixed on Maya like she was a ghost. "Impossible," he said, his translator making his voice sound hollow. She was dead. We recorded her death. The alien with green markings, Shenra, was frantically checking her instruments. Her long fingers flew through holographic displays, pulling up data, comparing readings. "Commander, her vital signs are returning to normal. Heart rate increasing to standard levels. Brain activity restored. Cellular regeneration occurring at an accelerated rate." "How long was she without oxygen?" Vexcal demanded. 37 minutes, Commander." Vexcal was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice quieter than before. "That's impossible. No carbon-based life form can survive that long without oxygen. The brain dies after 6 minutes. We've tested this with 17 species. They all died." "The data is clear, Commander," Shenra said. "She survived." Maya pushed herself up to a sitting position. Her vision cleared slowly. She looked at the aliens watching her, and she understood something important. They were afraid. These aliens, who had captured her ship, who had put her in this death chamber, who had watched her die with scientific curiosity, were now afraid of her. She decided to make it worse. Maya stood up. Her legs shook, but she locked her knees and stayed upright. She walked to the transparent wall where Vexcal stood and looked directly at him. She knew they had translation technology. Time to use it. "Still think we're weak?" Maya said. Her voice was rough, damaged from oxygen deprivation, but the words came out clear. Vexcal didn't respond. He just stared at her, and Maya saw something in his expression that gave her hope. Uncertainty. These aliens didn't know what to do with her anymore. "Security team to Observation Room 7, Vexcal finally said. "Prepare full restraints. Medical team, I want a complete biological scan." The door to the observation room opened, and 6 aliens entered, all carrying those curved light weapons. They surrounded Maya carefully like she might explode. One of them held out a device that looked like metal bands. Maya didn't resist when they put the bands around her wrists and ankles. The bands clicked together magnetically, limiting her movement. They led her through the corridor to a different room. This one looked more like a medical bay with a raised platform in the center and equipment floating around it. The aliens made her lie down on the platform, and the metal bands on her wrists and ankles attached to it, holding her in place. Shenra entered the room carrying several devices. She approached Maya slowly, cautiously, like approaching a wild animal. "I need to scan you," she said through her translator. "It will not hurt." "Like suffocating me didn't hurt?" Maya shot back. Shenra's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. Was that shame? Maya couldn't tell. The alien began scanning her with devices that hummed and glowed. Blue light washed over Maya's body, making her skin tingle. She watched Shenra's expression change as the scan results appeared on floating displays. "Your skeletal structure is reinforced," Shenra said, speaking more to herself than to Maya. "Muscle density is significantly higher than expected. Your cardiovascular system has redundancies we don't understand. And your brain, it has an unusual capacity to enter a low-power state during oxygen deprivation. We call it passing out," Maya said. "No, this is different. Your cells didn't die. They entered a form of hibernation. We've never seen anything like this." Commander Vexcal entered the medical bay. and Shenra immediately showed him the scan results. They spoke in their own language, and Maya caught the tone of their conversation. Vexcal sounded frustrated. Shenra sounded worried. They argued for several minutes before switching back to the translator. "Where did your species evolve?" Vexcal asked Maya. "Earth." "What are the environmental conditions?" Maya smiled even though it hurt her face. "Hostile." Vexcal's eyes narrowed. "Elaborate." "No. I can make you talk. You can try. But I just survived 37 minutes without oxygen." "What exactly do you think you can do to me that's worse than that?" Vexcal opened his mouth, closed it, and turned to leave. He stopped at the door. "Keep her restrained. Run every test we have. I want to know everything about her physiology. If she can survive that long without oxygen, what else can her species endure?" Over the next several hours, Shenra and her team ran test after test. They scanned every part of Maya's body. They took samples of her blood, her skin, her hair. They tested her reaction to different temperatures, different pressure levels, different types of light. Through it all, Maya stayed quiet, watching and learning. She learned that the Confederation had 17 member species. She learned that they conquered through overwhelming force and technological superiority. She learned that they had never encountered a species they couldn't defeat. And she learned that they were planning to invade Earth. "How many humans are there on your planet?" Shenra asked during one of the tests. "Enough," Maya said. "That's not an answer. It's the only answer you're getting." Shenra was quiet for a moment. Then she leaned closer, her voice dropping. "Commander, Vexcal plans to test the other humans we captured. He wants to see if you're unique or if all humans can survive like you did." Maya's blood went cold. "There are others?" "3 more from your patrol group. Kate Morrison, Jake Holland, and Danny Cruz." Maya knew them. Kate was her wingmate, one of the best pilots in the squadron. Jake was the rookie, fresh out of the academy, always smiling. Danny was the veteran, 20 years of service, 2 kids back home. They were her friends, her family in space. "Don't let him test them," Maya said. "Please." "I don't have that authority." "Then help me stop him." Shenra's 4 eyes blinked rapidly again. "Why would I do that?" "Because you're a scientist, not a murderer. I can see it in the way you work. You're curious about life, not interested in destroying it. You didn't want to kill me. You were just following orders." "That's true." "Then stop following orders that are wrong." Shenra didn't respond, but something changed in her expression. She finished the scans and left the medical bay without another word. Maya was alone with her thoughts and the restraints holding her to the platform. She thought about Kate, Jake, and Danny. Where were they on this ship? Were they in cells? Were they scared? Did they know she was here too? Maya pulled against the restraints, but they didn't budge. The metal bands were locked tight to the platform. Hours passed, maybe days. It was hard to tell time on the alien ship. The lights never changed. No windows showed the stars. Maya dozed off several times, exhausted from her ordeal, and woke to find Shenra standing over her with more tests. "Your cellular regeneration continues to fascinate me," Shenra said during one session. "You should still be damaged from the oxygen deprivation. Your brain should show signs of permanent injury, but you're completely healed." "How?" "Evolution," Maya said. "Earth isn't a gentle planet. We had to adapt or die." "What makes Earth so dangerous?" Maya thought about how to explain her home planet to an alien. Extreme weather, natural disasters, predators, disease, starvation, competition for resources. My species spent millions of years learning how to survive things that should have killed us. We got very good at not dying. But you did die in that observation room, did I? My heart stopped. Sure, my brain activity dropped to almost nothing. But some part of me kept going. Some stubborn part that refused to give up. That's what humans do. We refuse to give up. Shenra studied Maya for a long time. "Commander Vexcal is going to test the other humans tomorrow. He wants to see if they can survive like you did." "They will," Maya said. even though she wasn't sure. How do you know? Because they're human. We all carry the same stubbornness in our DNA, the same refusal to quit. You can test us, you can hurt us, you can even kill us, but you'll never break us. Shenra turned away, her fingers moving through holographic displays. I hope you're right, she said quietly, because if you're wrong, Commander Vexkull will consider your survival a genetic anomaly. He'll still order the invasion of Earth. And if I'm right, then he'll order it anyway. He believes superior technology can overcome any biological advantage. Maya felt despair creeping in. She had survived the observation room. But what did it matter if Vexkull was going to test? Her friends? What did it matter if the Confederation was going to invade Earth regardless? Then she remembered something her training instructor used to say. The battle isn't over until you stop fighting. Maya wasn't dead yet, her friends. Maya woke to the sound of voices arguing outside the medical bay. She kept her eyes closed and listened. One voice belonged to Commander Vexkull. The other was Shenra. They were speaking in their own language, but the translator on the wall was picking up fragments. 3 test subjects ready for observation room protocol, Vexkull said. Commander, perhaps we should reconsider. The first human's survival suggests unusual physiology. Testing could provide unreliable data if all humans share this trait. That is precisely why we must test them. If this Brooks human is an anomaly, we need to know. If all humans possess this survival capability, we need to understand its limits. What if they all survive? Then we will try different methods. Pressure, temperature, radiation. Every species has a breaking point, Shenra. We simply haven't found theirs yet. The voices moved away and Maya opened her eyes. She pulled against her restraints again, harder this time, but the metal bands held firm. She needed to get free, needed to stop Vexkull, needed to save Kate, Jake, and Danny. The door to the medical bay opened and Shenra entered. She looked tired, her movements slower than before. She approached Maya's platform and stood there silently for a long moment. I can't stop him, Shenra finally said. I tried. He won't listen. Then help me escape. That would be treason. And what he's doing isn't murder. Shenra's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. The Confederation doesn't see it as murder. We see it as necessary research. Understanding enemy biology saves Confederation lives during conquest. Is that what helps you sleep? Knowing that the people you kill might save your people later? I don't sleep well, Shenra admitted quietly. I haven't for years. Maya saw an opening. Then why do you keep doing it? Because I'm a coward. Because questioning orders means exile or death. Because the Confederation is all I've ever known. It's not too late to change. Yes, it is. Commander Vexkull is taking the other humans to Observation Room 7 in 1 hour. He's planning to test them individually just like he tested you. Let me talk to them first. Please, let me prepare them. Shenra was quiet for a long time. Then she moved to the restraints and touched a control. The metal bands released with a click. You have 15 minutes. That's all I can give you. There are guards outside and they won't let you leave this bay. Maya sat up slowly, rubbing her wrists where the bands had held her. Where are my friends? Holding cells on deck 3. I'll bring them here, but you must understand something. If you try to escape, the guards will kill all of you. If you attack me, they will kill all of you. Your only choice is to talk to your friends and then cooperate. Or Commander Vexkull will test them without any preparation, and their deaths will be frightening and painful. Maya nodded. Bring them here. Shenra left and Maya stood up, testing her legs. She felt weak but functional. Her mind raced through possibilities. Could she overpower the guards? No, they had weapons and she had nothing. Could she sabotage something in the medical bay? Maybe. But she didn't know how their technology worked. Could she convince Vexkull to stop? That seemed impossible. The door opened again and 3 humans stumbled in, pushed by alien guards. Kate looked angry, her short dark hair messy and her flight suit torn. Jake looked terrified, his young face pale and his hands shaking. Danny looked calculating, his gray eyes sweeping the room for options. Maya, Kate said, her voice filled with relief and confusion. You're alive. We saw your fighter get pulled into this ship. We thought you were dead. I was, sort of. Long story. The guards pushed the 3 humans toward Maya and then stepped back, their light weapons raised and ready. Shenra stood by the door, watching nervously. What's going on? Danny asked, his voice steady despite the situation. What do these aliens want? Maya quickly explained everything. The observation room, the oxygen deprivation, the 37 minutes, her survival, Vexcal's plan to test them next. She watched their expressions change from confusion to understanding to fear. "So we're going to die," Jake said, his voice barely above a whisper. "No," Maya said firmly. "You're going to survive." "Just like I did. How?" Kate asked. "You had training, Maya. You knew how to control your breathing, how to stay calm." "I'm a pilot, not a survival specialist." "You don't need special training. You just need to be human." Danny frowned. "Explain." Maya thought about how to put it into words. "These aliens have conquered 17 species. They test each one the same way. They remove oxygen and watch them die. Every species they've tested dies within 12 minutes. I lasted 37 minutes and survived." "Because you're tough," Jake said. "No, because I'm human. Because our species evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. Because somewhere in our DNA, buried deep, is an instinct to survive no matter what. Our bodies know how to slow down, to hibernate, to conserve energy when oxygen disappears. We don't need to think about it. It just happens." "You're guessing," Danny said. "Maybe, but I'm also alive when I should be dead. That has to mean something." Kate stepped closer. "What do we need to do?" "Stay calm. Control your breathing as long as possible. When you pass out, trust your body. It knows what to do. It's been training for this moment for millions of years." "And if you're wrong?" Jake asked. "If you're just special somehow and we're not." Maya looked at each of them. "Then I'll spend the rest of my life making these aliens pay for killing you." Shenra stepped forward. "Time is up. The guards will take them to Observation Room 7 now." "Wait," Danny said. He looked at Maya. "If we survive this, what's the plan?" "We escape. We warn Earth, we stop the invasion. That's not much of a plan." "It's all I've got." Danny smiled grimly. "Good enough for me." The guards pushed Kate, Jake, and Danny toward the door. Kate looked back at Maya. "See you on the other side, Lieutenant." "That's an order, pilot," Maya said, forcing herself to sound confident. Then they were gone, and Maya was alone with Shenra. "I want to watch," Maya said. "I want to see them survive. Commander Vexcal won't allow it. I don't care what he allows. Take me there or I'll start breaking equipment until someone drags me there." Shenra hesitated, then nodded. "Come with me. But if Commander Vexcal orders you removed, you must leave." "Understood?" They walked through corridors that made Maya's head hurt. The walls still seemed to move and shift. Other aliens stopped to stare at her as she passed. Word had spread about the human who survived. She could see it in their expressions. Fear mixed with curiosity. Observation Room 7 looked the same as before. Through the transparent walls, Maya could see Kate, Jake, and Danny standing together, talking quietly. Guards surrounded the room. Commander Vexcal stood at the main control station with several other officers. He turned when Maya and Shenra entered. "Why is the prisoner here?" "She wanted to watch," Shenra said. "I don't care what she wants." "Let her stay, Commander," Shenra said. "She might provide useful commentary on their biological responses." Vexcal considered this. "Fine, but if she interferes, the guards will restrain her." He turned back to the controls. "Begin oxygen removal. Document everything." Maya watched the displays as the oxygen level in the observation room started dropping. Inside, Kate noticed first. She said something to Danny and Jake, and they all sat down against the wall just like Maya had done. Good. They were listening. They were staying calm. 5 minutes passed. 10 minutes. Kate's face was red from holding her breath. Jake looked scared but focused. Danny had his eyes closed, his breathing slow and controlled. The alien scientists monitored their vital signs, comparing them to the data from Maya's test. "Fascinating," one of the scientists said. "Their physiological responses mirror the first humans. Controlled breathing, reduced heart rate, deliberate oxygen conservation, species-wide behavior pattern," another scientist added, "not individual variation." At 15 minutes, Jake passed out first. His body slumped against the wall, but his chest still moved with shallow breaths. Kate lasted until 18 minutes. Danny made it to 21 minutes before losing consciousness. "Brain activity dropping," Shenra reported. "Heart rates becoming minimal. They're entering the same hibernation state as Brooks." Vexcal leaned forward, his 4 eyes fixed on the displays. "How long can they maintain this state?" "Unknown, Commander." Maya watched her friends lying motionless in that room, and she felt rage building inside her. These aliens had no right. No right to test humans like lab animals. No right to invade Earth. No right to treat any species this way. She wanted to grab Vexcal and throw him into that observation room, see how he liked suffocating. But she stayed still and waited. At 30 minutes, Kate's eyes opened. She gasped and coughed, her whole body shaking. The alien scientists made sounds of alarm and surprise. Kate sat up, looked around at the walls, and saw Maya watching. She raised her hand and gave a weak thumbs up. At 33 minutes, Danny woke up. At 36 minutes, Jake opened his eyes. All 3 humans were alive. Commander Vexcal stared at the observation room in silence. The other scientists checked and rechecked their instruments, but the readings were clear. 3 more humans had survived what should have been fatal. 3 more impossible results. Maya stepped closer to Vexcal. "Still think we're weak?" she asked again. Vexcal turned to face her, and for the first time, Maya saw real uncertainty in his expression. "Your species should not." The guards put all 4 humans in the same holding cell. It was small, maybe 10 feet by 10 feet, with walls that glowed faintly blue. There were no beds, no toilet, no water. Just 4 humans sitting on the floor trying to make sense of what had happened to them. "That was the worst experience of my life," Jake said, hugging his knees to his chest. "I really thought I was dying. I could feel everything shutting down." "You were dying," Danny said. He looked at Maya with new respect. "But you knew we'd come back, how?" "I didn't know for sure," Maya admitted. "I hoped. I believed. But I didn't know." Kate laughed, but there was no humor in it. "So we all just died and came back to life because you had a feeling? That's insane." "Everything about this situation is insane," Maya said. "We're on an alien ship. We just survived something that should be impossible. And somewhere out there, the Confederation is planning to invade Earth. We need to escape," Danny said. "Get back to Earth, warn our people, give them time to prepare." "Easier said than done," Kate pointed out. "We're locked in a cell on a ship we don't understand, surrounded by aliens with advanced weapons and technology. We don't even know where in space we are." Maya stood and walked to the cell door. It was transparent like the walls of the observation room, and she could see guards standing outside. 2 of them, both holding light weapons. Beyond them was a corridor with other cells. Some looked empty. Others held aliens she didn't recognize. Prisoners from other species, maybe. "Shenra might help us," Maya said. "The scientist?" Danny asked. "Why would she help?" "Because she's having doubts. I could see it in her eyes. She doesn't like what Vexcal is doing, but she's too afraid to stand up to him." "Fear is powerful," Kate said. "Hard to overcome, but not impossible," Maya said. "We just proved that. We overcame our fear of death. Shenra can overcome her fear of Vexcal." They waited for hours. Guards brought them water in strange containers that felt warm to the touch but held cold liquid. No food. Maybe the aliens were still deciding whether to keep them alive or not. Maya used the time to observe the guards, counting their patrol patterns, looking for weaknesses. Finally, Shenra appeared outside the cell. She dismissed the guards, saying she needed to run more tests. Once they were gone, she opened the cell door but didn't step inside. "Commander Vexcal is planning the thermal test for tomorrow," she said quietly. "He wants to see how much heat your bodies can tolerate before organs fail." "Of course he does," Maya said. "Because oxygen deprivation didn't work, so now he has to find something else that will kill us. He's also preparing to report your survival to the Confederation Council. He believes they'll want to accelerate the invasion timeline. To attack Earth before we can prepare," Danny said. Shenra nodded. "The Council sees your species' resilience as a threat. The faster they conquer you, the less time you have to develop defenses." Maya felt cold fear in her stomach. If the Confederation invaded before Earth knew they existed, billions of people would die. Her family, her friends, everyone she'd ever known. "Help us escape," Maya said. "Help us get back to Earth." "I can't. The security systems would detect any escape attempt. Commander Vexcal would catch you before you reach the hangar bay. Then sabotage the security systems. That's treason. They would execute me." "They're going to execute billions of humans," Kate said, standing up, "including children, including families, including people who've never hurt anyone. Is their genocide worth more than your safety?" Shenra's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. She was silent for a long moment. "I've participated in 6 conquests," she finally said. 6 species enslaved or destroyed. I told myself it was necessary. that the Confederation brought order to chaos, that primitive species were better off under our control. But watching you survive, watching you refuse to break, I can't tell myself those lies anymore. Then help us, Maya said. If I help you escape, it won't just be me they execute. They'll kill my family, my friends, everyone I care about. That's how the Confederation maintains order, through fear and collective punishment. We can protect them, Maya said, though she had no idea how. No, you can't. Even if you escape, even if you warn Earth, the Confederation will still invade. And they'll win because they have technology you can't imagine. Weapons that can destroy continents, ships that can cross galaxies in days. You survived oxygen deprivation, but can you survive planetary bombardment? Maybe not, Danny said. But we'll die trying. That's what humans do. Shenra studied Danny for a moment. You really believe that? All of you. You genuinely think your species can win against the Confederation? We don't have to win, Maya said. We just have to make the cost high enough that you decide we're not worth conquering. The Council doesn't think like that. Once they commit to conquest, they don't retreat. Then we'll teach them to retreat. Shenra made a sound that might have been laughter or might have been despair. Your species is either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Usually both, Jake said, speaking for the first time since the cell door opened. Shenra closed the cell door, but didn't lock it. I'm going to make a mistake tomorrow. During the thermal testing, I'm going to forget to secure the observation room properly. The door will malfunction. You'll have approximately 10 minutes before guards respond. That's all I can give you. Why are you helping us? Maya asked. Because I want to sleep well again. Because I'm tired of being a coward. Because maybe your species' stubbornness is contagious. Shenra turned to leave, then stopped. The hangar bay is on deck 5. Your ships are still there being studied. If you can reach them, you might have a chance. But know this. If you're captured, Commander Vexikal will execute you immediately. No more tests, no more chances. Understood, Maya said. After Shenra left, the 4 humans huddled together to plan. Danny, with his 20 years of military experience, took charge. We need weapons. We need to know the layout of this ship, and we need a distraction big enough to pull guards away from the hangar bay. I can create a distraction, Kate said. If I can access their engineering systems, I can cause a power surge. Make them think the ship is having critical failures. Can you do that without getting caught? Danny asked. I don't know. But I can try. What about weapons? Jake asked. Those light blade things the guards carry? Too risky, Danny said. We don't know how to use them, and if we fail to take one, the guard will kill us. We go hand to hand if we have to. Use surprise and speed. Maya listened to them plan, but her mind was elsewhere. She was thinking about Earth, about the billions of people who had no idea what was coming. She was thinking about her mom making dinner, her brother playing basketball, all those normal moments that would disappear if the Confederation invaded. We need to do more than just escape, Maya said, interrupting the planning. We need to hurt this ship, slow down their timeline, give Earth more time to prepare. How? Danny asked. Sabotage. Destroy their communications so they can't report back to the Council immediately. Damage their engines so repairs take weeks instead of days. Make this mission a failure. That's ambitious, Kate said. So is surviving death, Maya countered. Danny grinned. I like it. Okay, new plan. After we escape the observation room, we split up. Kate and I will head to engineering, cause chaos, sabotage what we can. Maya and Jake, you go to the communications array, take it offline. Then we all meet at the hangar bay. And if we get separated? Jake asked. Then you keep going. Don't wait. Don't look back. Get to Earth and warn them. They spent the next few hours going over every detail they could think of. Escape routes. Backup plans. What to do if captured. What to do if someone got hurt. It wasn't a great plan. It wasn't even a good plan. But it was the only plan they had. Finally, guards came to take them to the thermal testing chamber. Maya walked calmly, but inside her heart was racing. This was it. Their one chance. If Shenra's door malfunction didn't work, they'd die in that chamber. If the guards caught them escaping, they'd die in the corridors. If their sabotage failed, they'd die before reaching the hangar bay. But if everything worked, if luck was on their side, if human stubbornness was enough, they might just survive. They might warn Earth. They might stop an invasion. The thermal chamber looked different from the observation room. It was larger. with strange equipment along the walls that glowed red and orange. Heat distortion made the air shimmer. Commander Vexcal stood at the control station, watching as guards pushed the 4 humans inside. "This test will be brief," Vexcal announced. "We're going to increase temperature rapidly until your bodies fail. It should take less than 10 minutes. Maya looked at Shenra, who was standing near the door controls. The alien scientist met her eyes for just a moment, and Maya saw fear there. Fear and determination. Shenra was really going to do this. She was really going to betray her commander, her species, everything she'd ever known, to help 4 humans escape. The chamber door closed. The temperature started rising. Maya looked at Kate, Danny, and Jake. "Get ready," she said quietly. "When that door opens, we run. And we don't stop running until we're home," Kate added. The heat grew intense. Sweat poured down Maya's face. Her skin felt like it was burning, but she didn't focus on the pain. She focused on the door, on Shenra standing near the controls, on the moment everything would change. Maya hit the corridor at a full sprint, her lungs burning from the heat but her legs strong. Behind her, she heard shouting in the alien language. Guards yelling, alarms starting to wail, Commander Vexcal screaming orders. But she didn't look back. Looking back meant slowing down, and slowing down meant death. Kate and Danny split off at the first intersection, heading toward engineering just like they planned. Maya and Jake kept running straight, following the path Shenra had described to the communications array. The corridors were a maze of shifting walls and confusing turns, but Maya focused on the directions. Left at the purple glow, right at the floating platform, straight through the section that looked like water but felt like air. Guards ahead, Jake shouted. Maya saw them, 3 aliens blocking the corridor, raising their light weapons. No time to think. She dove to the side as energy blasts scorched the wall where her head had been. Jake went low, sliding across the floor, and somehow got behind one of the guards. He jumped up and grabbed the alien's weapon arm, twisting hard. The alien shrieked and dropped its weapon. Maya rolled forward and snatched it before hitting the floor. She'd never held alien technology before, but survival instinct took over. Her fingers found what felt like a trigger. She aimed at the nearest guard and squeezed. A blade of blue light shot out and cut through the alien's weapon, then through its arm. The guard collapsed, screaming. The 3rd guard turned to run, but Maya was faster. Another blast of light and the guard went down. "Did you just learn to use that in 5 seconds?" Jake asked, breathing hard. "Apparently," Maya said, staring at the weapon in her hands. It felt warm, alive almost, like it was responding to her thoughts. "Come on. We need to move." They ran past the fallen guards and deeper into the ship. More alarms were sounding now. The whole vessel knew about the escape. Maya wondered if Kate and Danny had reached engineering yet, if they were still alive, if the plan was working. The communications array was behind a heavy door marked with symbols Maya couldn't read. She tried the weapon on the door, cutting through the metal like butter. The door sparked and fell inward, revealing a room full of equipment that glowed and hummed. No guards inside. They'd gotten lucky. "Start breaking things," Maya said. Jake picked up a piece of equipment and smashed it against another piece. Maya used the light weapon to slice through cables and burn through control panels. They destroyed everything they could reach, working fast and messy. Sparks flew. Small fires started. The humming sound turned into a high-pitched whine. "Think that's enough?" Jake asked. "Hope so. Let's go." They ran back into the corridor and nearly collided with a group of guards. 6 of them, all armed, all angry. Maya raised her stolen weapon, but before she could fire, something exploded behind the guards. The blast threw them forward, and Maya and Jake had to jump aside to avoid being crushed. Through the smoke, Shenra appeared, holding a device that sparked and smoked. "This way," the alien scientist said. "Quickly, why are you helping us?" Jake asked as they ran. "Because Commander Vexcal ordered my execution the moment the door malfunction was discovered. I no longer have anything to lose." They followed Shenra through corridors that seemed to shift and change. Maya wondered if the scientist was controlling the ship's interior somehow, or if this was just how Confederation vessels worked. Either way, they were moving fast and avoiding guards, which was all that mattered. "Kate and Danny," Maya asked. They reached engineering. "Created significant damage. Power is fluctuating throughout the ship. They're heading to the hangar bay now." "How do you know?" "I'm still connected to the ship's systems through my implant. I can track their location and see the destruction they're causing." Shenra's 4 eyes held something like approval. Your species has a talent for chaos. We've had a lot of practice, Maya said. They reached a lift that would take them down to Deck 5. Shenra activated it with a touch, and the three of them stepped inside. The lift moved so smoothly Maya couldn't tell they were moving until the doors opened onto the hangar bay. It was huge, maybe the size of 3 football fields. Alien ships filled most of the space, sleek vessels that looked like they were carved from single pieces of metal. Near the far wall, Maya saw 4 familiar shapes, human fighters. Her ship, Kate's ship, Danny's ship, Jake's ship, all of them damaged but maybe still flyable. There, Jake pointed. Kate and Danny were already at the fighters working on one of the hatches. They had 3 guards pinned down behind equipment crates, taking cover from light weapon fire. Maya didn't hesitate. She raised her stolen weapon and fired, forcing the guards to duck. Danny used the distraction to rush forward and take down one guard with a flying tackle that would have made a football coach proud. Kate grabbed a weapon from the fallen guard and helped Danny deal with the other 2. Within seconds, all 3 guards were down and the 4 humans were together again. "Took you long enough," Kate said, grinning despite the blood on her face. "We stopped to redecorate," Maya said. "How's engineering?" "On fire, literally. Half their power systems are offline, and the other half are going to overload in about 10 minutes. Good. Let's get out of here before that happens." They climbed into their fighters, Maya helping Jake into his ship since his hands were shaking from adrenaline. Shendra stood nearby watching them prepare to leave. "Come with us," Maya said to the alien scientist. "Where would I go? I betrayed my people, helped enemy combatants escape, caused the deaths of Confederation crew members. There's no place in the galaxy safe for me now. Earth will be safe. We protect those who help us." Shenra's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "You would give refuge to an alien who participated in 6 species conquests? You also saved our lives and sabotaged an invasion. That counts for something. The Confederation will come for me. Let them come. We'll be ready." Shenra seemed to think about this, then climbed into Maya's fighter. It was tight with 2 people, but they managed. Maya sealed the canopy and powered up her engines. They coughed and sputtered from damage but caught and held. The other 3 fighters came online too, their engines whining but functional. "Everyone ready?" Maya asked over the comm. "Ready," Kate confirmed. "Born ready," Danny added. "Please don't crash," Jake said. Maya smiled and opened the throttle. Her fighter lurched forward, accelerating toward the hangar bay exit. The bay doors were closed, but she'd expected that. She aimed her weapons and fired, punching holes through the metal barrier. The other fighters added their firepower, and the doors exploded outward into space. Alarms wailed throughout the Zathran. Commander Vexcal watched from the bridge as 4 human fighters escaped from his ship, taking his lead scientist with them. Rage filled him, but also something else. Respect, fear, understanding. He'd watched these humans survive what should have killed them. He'd watched them escape from a ship designed to be inescapable. He'd watched them destroy critical systems and steal technology. And he realized with cold certainty that invading Earth was going to be far more costly than the Council anticipated. "Should we pursue, Commander?" one of his officers asked. Vexcal stared at the view screen showing 4 small fighters accelerating away. "No, let them go." "We have more important things to do, sir. We need to report to the Council immediately. These humans are not a primitive species. They're an apex predator species. The Council needs to know what they're dealing with before ordering an invasion." "But sir, our communications array was destroyed. It will take weeks to repair." Vexcal closed his 4 eyes. Of course, the humans had thought of everything. They'd bought themselves time. Weeks to prepare Earth's defenses. Weeks to warn their government. Weeks to turn their planet into a fortress. "Begin repairs immediately," Vexcal ordered. "And send a message to all Confederation vessels in this sector. Earth is not to be approached without Council authorization. That planet is now classified as extremely dangerous." In space, 4 human fighters raced toward home. Maya set the navigation computer for Earth and let the autopilot take over. Behind her, Shenra was quiet, probably processing everything that had happened. "You okay back there?" Maya asked. "I betrayed everyone I've ever known. I'm now an enemy of the most powerful military force in the galaxy. And I'm flying in a primitive spacecraft that's barely holding together. No, I'm not okay. But you're alive. And you did the right thing. Will that be enough?" "It'll have to be." They flew in silence for a while. Maya watched the stars and thought about home. About her mom and brother, about all the people on Earth who had no idea how close they'd come to invasion, how close they still were despite the delay she'd bought them. Maya, Kate's voice came over the comm. You think they'll really invade? Yes, Vexcal said the Council doesn't retreat once they commit to conquest, then we better make sure Earth is ready. How do we prepare for an invasion by species with technology centuries ahead of ours? Jake asked. The same way we survived those observation rooms, Danny said. We refuse to quit. We fight smarter than them. We use our stubbornness as a weapon. He's right, Maya said. The Confederation has conquered 17 species, but they've never faced humans before. They don't know what we're capable of. And we're going to teach them. Hours passed. The four fighters traveled through space heading toward a... 3 weeks had passed since Maya Brooks and her squadron returned to Earth. 3 weeks of debriefings and medical examinations, and meetings with military officials, who looked at them like they were miracles or weapons or both. 3 weeks of preparing for a war nobody wanted but everybody knew was coming. Maya stood in the command center of Earth Defense Station Alpha, watching displays that showed the orbital defense grid humanity had built in record time. Weapons platforms, shield generators, fighter squadrons on constant patrol. It wasn't enough to stop the Confederation, but it was enough to make them bleed. They're coming, Kate said, appearing beside Maya. She looked different now, her pilot's uniform replaced with a tactical officer's jacket. They'd all been promoted after their return. Heroes of Earth, the media called them. Maya just felt tired. How long? Maya asked. Long-range sensors detected multiple ships entering the system. Could be scouts. Could be the invasion fleet. Either way, they'll be in weapons range in 4 hours. 4 hours. Maya had known this day was coming, but part of her had hoped the Confederation would reconsider. That they'd decide Earth wasn't worth the cost. That Vexcal's report would convince the Council to leave humanity alone. She should have known better. Empires didn't retreat. They expanded or died. Where's Shenra? Maya asked. Engineering section working with the tech team. She's been reverse engineering Confederation weapon systems for 3 weeks straight. Barely sleeps. She's trying to give us an edge. Will it be enough? Maya didn't answer because she didn't know. They'd done everything possible in 3 weeks. Warned the government. Shared Shenra's intelligence. Built defenses. Trained soldiers. Prepared civilians. But the Confederation had conquered 17 species. They had centuries of experience and technology that looked like magic. All Earth had was stubbornness and a refusal to quit. Alert the squadrons, Maya said. Tell everyone to get ready. Kate nodded and moved to a communication station. Maya watched her go and felt a strange mix of pride and fear. They were all so young. Kate was 26. Jake was 23. Danny was the oldest at 42, but even he seemed too young to die in a war against aliens. Maya's communicator buzzed. Danny's voice came through. Maya, you need to come to Hangar Bay 7 now. Something in his tone made Maya run. She took the lift down to Deck 5 and sprinted through corridors until she reached the hangar bay. Danny stood near one of the new fighters they'd built using Shenra's designs. He wasn't alone. Admiral Price was there along with a dozen other high-ranking officers. Lieutenant Brooks, Admiral Price said. He was a stern man with gray hair and scars from a long military career. We have a situation, sir. Commander Vexcal sent a message. He wants to talk. Specifically, he wants to talk to you. Maya felt her stomach twist. Why me? You're the one who survived. The one who escaped. The one who made him doubt. He says he'll speak only with you, and if we refuse, the invasion begins immediately with no warning and no mercy. It's a trap, Danny said. Probably, Price agreed. But it's also an opportunity to buy time, gather intelligence, maybe even negotiate. The Confederation doesn't negotiate, Maya said, remembering what Shenra had told her. Then you'll be the first person to change their mind. That shuttle over there is prepped and ready. You'll fly out to neutral space between their fleet and ours. We'll have weapons locked on you the entire time. If anything happens, we'll extract you immediately. Maya looked at the shuttle. Small, unarmed. Essentially a flying coffin if the Confederation decided to destroy it. But Admiral Price was right. This was an opportunity. A chance to understand what Vexcal wanted. A chance to maybe, just maybe, prevent a war. I'll do it, Maya said. I'm going with you, Danny said immediately. No, if this is a trap, no point in both of us dying. Maya, you can't go alone. She won't be. Shenra's voice said. The alien scientist entered the hangar bay, looking exhausted but determined. I'm going with her. Why? Maya asked. Because Commander Vexcal is my former superior. I know how he thinks. And if he's requesting this meeting, it means something has changed. The Council's plans, his orders, something. I need to know what. Admiral Price studied Shenra for a moment. Can we trust you? 3 weeks ago, I betrayed my entire species to save 4 humans. Yes, Admiral. You can trust me. Fine, both of you take the shuttle. You have 2 hours. If you're not back by then, we assume you've been captured and respond accordingly. Maya and Shenra boarded the shuttle. It was small and cramped, designed for short trips between stations. Maya took the pilot's seat and powered up the engines. They launched smoothly and accelerated away from Earth Defense Station Alpha. As they flew, Maya watched the view screen. The Confederation fleet hung in space like dark stars. She counted 30 ships, each one massive and bristling with weapons. 30 ships to conquer 1 planet. It should have been overkill. But Maya suspected Vexcal had requested those numbers specifically because he knew what humans were capable of. Receiving transmission, Shenra said, working the communications panel. Commander Vexcal is giving us approach coordinates. They followed the coordinates to a point between the 2 fleets. Maya brought the shuttle to a stop and waited. A few minutes later, another small craft appeared from the Confederation fleet. It was sleek and silver, moving with impossible grace. It stopped parallel to their shuttle, and a holographic display activated inside Maya's craft. Commander Vexcal appeared in the display. He looked the same as Maya remembered. Tall, 4 eyes, silver markings on his suit, but something about his expression was different. Less arrogant, more careful. Lieutenant Brooks, Vexcal said through the translator. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting. I didn't have much choice, Maya said. You threatened to invade immediately if I refused. That was not a threat. That was the truth. The Council ordered me to begin the invasion today, with or without intelligence from this meeting. Then why are we talking? Vexcal was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that shocked Maya. Because I'm trying to save lives on both sides. Shenra leaned forward. Commander, what happened? The Vexcal I knew would never question the Council's orders. The Vexcal you knew hadn't watched humans die and return to life, hadn't seen them escape from an inescapable ship, hadn't realized that conquering Earth was going to cost thousands of Confederation lives. Vexcal's 4 eyes focused on Maya. I reported everything to the Council. Your survival, your resilience, the sabotage. I recommended extreme caution or even postponing the invasion until we understood your species better. What did they say? Maya asked. They called me a coward. They said I'd been compromised by prolonged exposure to humans. They almost removed me from command. The only reason I'm still leading this fleet is because I have 12 years of successful conquests on my record. So the invasion is happening no matter what. Yes. But I can influence how it happens. I can choose to bombard Earth from orbit, killing billions immediately but ending the war quickly. Or I can choose to invade slowly, giving your species time to evacuate civilians and minimize casualties. Why would you do that? Because I watched you survive 37 minutes without oxygen, Lieutenant Brooks. I watched you look at me through that observation room wall and ask if I still thought humans were weak. And I realized something important. Your species has value, not as slaves, not as test subjects, as equals. Maya felt her chest tighten. This was the last thing she'd expected. An alien commander who'd tried to kill her now sitting in space talking about treating humans as equals. The Council won't accept that, Shenra said. The Confederation's entire power structure is based on domination. Treating a conquered species as equals would undermine everything. I know, Vexcal said. That's why I'm offering Lieutenant Brooks a choice. What choice? Maya asked. I challenge you to single combat. Traditional Confederation law allows the conquered species to nominate a champion. If that champion defeats the invasion commander, the invasion is cancelled and the species is granted independent status. That's a myth, Shenra said. No species has ever won such a challenge, because every species the Confederation has conquered was weaker than us. But humans are different. They refuse to stay down. They survive impossible odds. They come back from death itself. If any species could win, it's yours, Maya's mind raced. If I lose? The invasion proceeds immediately. Full planetary bombardment. Earth is destroyed as an example to other species who might resist. And if I win, Earth is granted independent status. The Confederation leaves your system and never returns. You'll be free. All I have to do is beat you in single combat. Yes. Maya looked at Shenra. The alien scientist's 4 eyes were wide with shock. Maya, this is insane. Vexkull is a trained warrior. He's fought in a dozen campaigns. He's killed opponents twice your size. But he's never fought a human, Maya said quietly. Vexkull leaned forward in the holographic display. I've studied your species, Lieutenant Brooks. I've watched videos of your wars, your sports, your survival stories. You don't fight like other species. You don't give up when injured. You don't retreat when outnumbered. You fight with a desperation and creativity that terrifies me. Good, Maya said. You should be terrified. Does that mean you accept my challenge?